It was a stormy night in the heart of New York City, the kind where rain hammered the streets like 1,000 tiny fists, and the wind howled through the alleyways as if the city itself was mourning. I stood there, drenched to the bone, under the flickering neon sign of a rundown diner, staring into the eyes of a woman I'd known for barely a month. Her name was Elena, and she was trembling, not just from the cold, but from the weight of a desperation that could shatter souls. "Please," she begged, her voice cracking like thunder, tears mixing with the rain on her cheeks. "I need a husband tonight, or I lose everything." Her words hung in the air, heavy and raw, pulling me into a vortex I never saw coming. And then, with my heart pounding, I uttered one single word that would change her life, and mine, forever. But what was that word? And how did we get here? Hold on, because this story is about to unfold in ways you won't believe. Let's rewind to where it all began, about 6 weeks earlier. I was Marcus, a 32-year-old architect who'd buried himself in blueprints and deadlines after a brutal divorce 2 years prior. My ex-wife had left me for someone more exciting, she said, taking half my savings and all my trust and love. I lived in a cramped apartment in Brooklyn, surrounded by takeout boxes and unfinished sketches, convinced that romance was a blueprint best left unbuilt. That fateful afternoon, I was at a crowded coffee shop, nursing a black coffee and scrolling through emails, when she walked in. Elena was a vision, long dark hair cascading like a waterfall, eyes the color of deep ocean waves, and a smile that could light up the dimmest room. But there was something haunted about her, a subtle shadow in her gaze that hinted at stories untold. She ordered a latte and sat at the table next to mine, fumbling with her phone. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but her accent, soft and melodic, with hints of Eastern Europe, drew me in. She was on a call, her voice low and urgent. "Mama, I know the deadline is approaching, but I can't just. No, I won't marry someone I don't love. The inheritance means nothing if it costs my heart." She hung up, sighing deeply, and that's when our eyes met. I offered a sympathetic smile, and before I knew it, we were talking. "Family drama?" I asked lightly, trying not to pry. She laughed, a sound like wind chimes, but it was tinged with sadness. "You have no idea. I'm Elena, by the way. From Ukraine, but I've been here on a visa for 3 years, building a life as a graphic designer." We chatted for hours, about art, dreams, the chaos of city life. It was effortless, like two puzzle pieces clicking together without force. Over the next few days, our chance meeting turned into daily texts and impromptu meetups. Elena opened up about her life. Orphaned young, raised by a strict grandmother in Kiev, she'd come to America chasing freedom and opportunity. But there was a catch, a massive one. Her grandmother's will stipulated that to inherit the family estate, worth millions in property and heirlooms, Elena had to be married by her 30th birthday. "It's an old tradition," she explained one evening as we walked through Central Park, leaves crunching under our feet. "My grandmother believed a woman needed a husband to protect her legacy. If I'm not wed by midnight on my birthday, everything goes to my scheming uncle, who's already plotting to sell it all." Her birthday was in 5 weeks. She was 29, single, and terrified. "I've dated, but nothing real. And now? Time's running out." I felt a pull toward her, something magnetic. My own wounds from the divorce made me hesitant, but Elena's vulnerability mirrored my own hidden pains. We shared stories, me about my failed marriage, how I'd sworn off commitment. Her about past boyfriends who'd seen her as a trophy, not a partner. Our conversations grew deeper, laced with laughter and lingering glances. One night, over dinner at a cozy Italian place, she confessed, "Marcus, you're the first person who's made me feel seen, not just admired." My heart skipped. Was this the start of something? But doubt crept in. What if I was just a rebound, a convenient fix for her problem? As weeks passed, our bond strengthened. We explored the city together. Museums where she'd sketch masterpieces, hole-in-the-wall eateries where we'd debate life's big questions. Elena's designs inspired my architecture. I'd show her my plans, and she'd add artistic flair. But the clock ticked relentlessly. Her uncle, Victor, a ruthless businessman back in Ukraine, bombarded her with calls, pressuring her to return and marry a family-approved suitor. "He's greedy," she told me, voice shaking. "He'd destroy everything my grandmother built." I wanted to help, but marriage? That was a leap off a skyscraper for someone like me, still scarred. Then came the first major challenge, Elena's visa complications. She'd been working freelance, but her sponsor pulled out unexpectedly, citing economic woes. Without stable employment or ties, deportation loomed. "If I go back now, I'll lose the inheritance fight," she whispered one afternoon in my apartment, papers scattered everywhere. We spent hours researching options, extensions, appeals. I connected her with a lawyer friend, and together, we built a case. It was grueling, nights blurred into days as we pored over forms. In those moments, our connection deepened. One evening, exhausted but triumphant after filing the paperwork, she leaned in and kissed me. It was soft, electric, full of unspoken promises. "Thank you, Marcus. You've given me hope." But hope is fragile. Just as things seemed to stabilize, Victor escalated. He flew to New York unannounced, showing up at her doorstep with a smug grin and a proposal from a suitable man, a wealthy associate who'd secure the inheritance for a cut. "Elena, be reasonable," he sneered in her tiny studio, while I waited outside, fuming. She stood her ground, but the encounter left her rattled. "He's threatening to contest the will early if I don't comply," she cried later, in my arms. We faced a crossroads, fight legally from afar or confront the family ties head-on. I suggested we travel to Ukraine together, to face him directly. It was risky, my work deadlines loomed, and the trip would drain savings, but for her, I'd do it. The flight was turbulent, mirroring our emotions. In Kiev, the city Elena loved yet feared, we navigated cobblestone streets and ancient cathedrals. Her grandmother's estate was a sprawling manor on the outskirts, filled with antiques and memories. Victor greeted us coldly, his eyes narrowing at me. "An American stranger? This won't sway the courts." Over tense dinners, arguments erupted. Victor painted me as an opportunist, Elena defended our budding love. The key challenge, proving our relationship was genuine, not a sham for the will. We gathered affidavits from friends back home, shared photos of our time together. But Victor had pull, bribes, connections. One night, he cornered me alone. "Leave her, or I'll make sure your life crumbles too." His threat hung like a storm cloud. Would I back down? We pressed on, but the pressure mounted. Elena's health faltered under stress, sleepless nights, anxiety attacks. I held her through them, whispering assurances. "We're in this together." Back in New York after the trip, with the birthday approaching, another blow, the visa appeal was denied. Deportation papers arrived, giving her mere days. "Marcus, if I'm forced out, it's over," she sobbed. We scrambled, lawyers, appeals, even considering asylum claims based on family threats. In the chaos, our love blossomed amidst the ruins. We confessed deeper feelings. "I love you," I said one dawn, as the sun rose over the skyline. "I love you too," she replied, eyes shining. Yet, doubt plagued me. Was this real, or born of necessity? A heated argument ensued. "Are you only with me because of the deadline?" I asked, voice raw. She stormed out, hurt. For 2 agonizing days, silence. Then, a knock at my door, Elena, eyes red. "No, Marcus. I fell for you before the desperation hit." "But if you can't trust that." We reconciled, stronger, vowing transparency. The penultimate challenge, the eve of her birthday. Victor had filed a preemptive lawsuit, claiming Elena's instability voided the will. We needed a miracle. That's when her old friend, a lawyer in Kiev, uncovered a loophole. The will required marriage, but not necessarily in Ukraine. If we wed in New York that night, it could hold. But midnight loomed, hours away. Elena, frantic, proposed. "Marry me tonight, Marcus. Not just for the inheritance, but for us." My mind raced, fear, love, uncertainty colliding. And there we were, back at that stormy diner. She'd begged, "I need a husband tonight, or I lose everything." The rain poured, the world blurred. My one-word reply? Yes. Simple, profound, it echoed through the night. We rushed to a 24-hour chapel, witnesses pulled from the street, a kind elderly couple who'd overheard our plea. Vows exchanged under fluorescent lights, rings improvised from keychains. By midnight, we were husband and wife. The inheritance? Secured, as lawyers confirmed the next day. Victor raged but lost the case. Elena's visa? With marriage to a U.S. citizen, a path to green card opened. But the real change was deeper. That, yes, wasn't just a word, it was a leap of faith. We built a life, merged our worlds, her designs complementing my architecture in a joint studio. Challenges came, cultural clashes, financial strains from the legal battles, moments of doubt. Yet, we resolved them with communication, therapy, unwavering support. Elena flourished, turning the estate into a cultural center for Ukrainian artists. I healed from my past, learning love's resilience. Years later, reflecting on that night, I realize, sometimes, desperation births destiny. Elena's plea wasn't weakness, it was courage. My reply wasn't impulse, it was recognition of a soulmate. Life's storms pass, but the bonds forged in them endure. If this story touched you, the raw emotion, the twists of fate, hit that like button and subscribe for more inspiring tales that remind us love conquers all. Thanks for joining me on this journey. Our marriage wasn't without its growing pains. In the first months, the weight of what we'd done hit hard. Elena grappled with guilt. "Did I force you into this?" she'd ask in quiet moments. I'd reassure her, but inwardly, I questioned too. My friends warned, "It's too fast, Marcus." Work suffered. Projects delayed as I navigated immigration paperwork. One evening, tempers flared over a trivial thing, dinner plans, and old wounds reopened. "You're just like my ex," I snapped, regretting it instantly. She left for a walk, returning hours later. We talked till dawn, peeling back layers, her fear of abandonment, my trust issues. It was raw, painful, but cathartic. We sought counseling, learning tools to communicate better. Slowly, harmony returned. Elena's uncle didn't vanish quietly. He appealed the will ruling, dragging us into international courts. Costs mounted, we sold assets, tightened belts. Stress tested our union. During one hearing via video, Victor accused us of fraud. "Prove your love," he demanded. We did, with letters, photos, testimonies. The judge ruled in our favor, but the ordeal left scars. Elena broke down after, "Is it worth it?" Holding her, I said, "You are." That resolution strengthened us. We emerged united, Victor finally backing off when evidence mounted against his own shady dealings. Professionally, we thrived. Elena's graphic skills elevated my firm, we landed a big contract redesigning a community center. But personal hurdles arose, cultural differences. Holidays clashed, her Orthodox Christmas versus my casual New Year's. We blended traditions, creating new ones, borscht with turkey, Ukrainian carols under the tree. Friends marveled at our fusion. Yet, infertility struck. A silent challenge. Tests revealed issues, treatments drained us emotionally. What if we can't have kids, she whispered. We explored adoption, supporting each other through failures. Eventually, success, twins, a boy and girl, symbols of our blended heritage. Another cliffhanger in our tale, a near tragedy. 2 years in, Elena's health scare, a lump discovered during a routine check. Biopsy wait was agonizing. If it's cancer. She trailed. Nights of fear, but it was benign. That brush with loss reignited gratitude. We traveled, back to Ukraine, healing family rifts. Victor, humbled by his own losses, apologized. Reconciliation brought closure. Through it all, our love evolved, from desperate spark to enduring flame. We mentored young couples, sharing our story at workshops. Embrace vulnerability, we'd say. One word can pivot everything. Today, as I watch Elena with our kids in the park, I know that rainy night wasn't the end, but the beginning. Life's plot twists, challenges met with resolve, craft the most beautiful narratives. Yours can too. Believe in the power of yes.